My name is Jake, welcome to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about how to use an HSA in early retirement. So first off, right off the bat, once again from last week, I am still traveling. My wife and I and the baby Lucas, we are visiting my parents, and so we're traveling, but I still wanted to create a video in advance just so that I could, I want to make sure that I'm consistent posting it every single week. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I'm still battling this cold. It's been I think it's been like 10 days. I hope that it's not too scratchy and that you can hear me and it's not too annoying. And there are a ton of videos. If you go on Google or if you go on YouTube and you search HSA, you're going to find a ton of stuff. There's going to be a ton of videos out there that cover in detail and in depth what an HSA is. But the difference about this video, what I've noticed not a lot of videos talk about, is I really want to break it down for your normal person that wants to know a little bit more than just high level bullet points. What is an HSA? I'm actually going to walk you through, some of the things that I've thought about in two different phases. So phase one is kind of like, you're going through, you're planning for early retirement, you're working, you're saving, you're investing your money. So you're still working and you're planning on using an HSA. So I'm going to talk about that piece, what my wife and I have done. And I'm really going to go into the methodical approach of how I view an HSA, what role it plays in my portfolio and strategically, right? And then what I'm going to do is towards the end of the videos, I'm going to walk you through how my wife and I, how we're using our HSA in early retirement. So that's really what the focus of the video is going to be on, is more the practical implication of an HSA and not really the high level theoretical version, bullet points. What is an HSA? So in the video today, we're going to cover 4 topics. The first, we're going to talk about what is an HSA. Then second, I want to talk about the tax benefits. I'm going to really breeze through these first 2 topics. And then third, I want to talk about investing with an HSA while you're working towards early retirement. So you're still in the workforce, you're still working, saving and investing. And then the last part of the video, I want to talk about how to use an HSA in early retirement. And I really want to dig into my wife and I's plan. And I want to show you how we're doing it. And hopefully it will give you inspiration and, hopefully, give you ideas to maybe, look at this maybe in a new way. It may be something that you've maybe not considered. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Because let's be honest, if you don't plan on having an HSA in early retirement, that's like letting your daughter date the nerdiest kid in school. And it probably could look a little like this.
You know what, Charlotte? I trust you, and I want you to have fun tonight. Really.
What's up, player? I'm here for your daughter. What?
Oh my gosh. When I saw that for the first time, I almost fell out of my chair. All right, cool. So what I want to do is I want to walk through and I want to talk about, what is an HSA, and I want to walk through and kind of share some thoughts around that. A lot of the information that we're going to be looking at is through the Fidelity website. So I don't have anything to sell you in this video. I don't have any affiliate link when it comes to an HSA account. I don't currently use Fidelity today, but I'm going to be using it with my wife. Once she quits her job and we transfer her HSA portfolio from her job, we're going to be opening up an account with Fidelity because it's free. They offer a free account and you can invest into different ETF index funds. And I'll show that here in a second. So just want to be very transparent. There's no HSA account that I'm trying to sell you. Okay, and I don't have an account with Fidelity right now. But they have a lot of great information. And because we will be moving over to Fidelity once my wife quits her job, that's why I'm showing it here. So let's take a look and let me show you here. So what is an HSA? So an HSA is a health savings account, but what is that? And I'm going to read this text and then I'm going to expand on and really try to dumb it down for your average person. And I consider myself average, so I have to dumb it down for myself, okay? So it's an individual account designed to work together with an HSA eligible high deductible health plan, an HDHP, okay? So I'll explain that in a second. Eligible contributions are tax deductible and you can use your HSA money tax-free to pay for qualified medical expenses for you, your spouse, and your qualified dependents. So you, for me, my wife, and my baby Lucas. You can choose to invest some or all of your HSA money for potential growth to help pay for qualified medical expenses in retirement. So it's an account that you can actually invest with as well. So we'll get to that in a second. If it grows, that growth is also tax-free. Plus your HSA is not use it or lose it. The account belongs to you and your contributions can accumulate year after year. So this part right here, the use it or lose it, that's referring to an FSA, a flexible spending account. Very, very different. The HSA, that money is yours. You never forfeit it at the end of the calendar year. It's your money. That's the big difference between an FSA. A couple of things here. First, like a high deductible healthcare plan. So what is that? What does that even mean? Well, there's generally a couple of ways that you can view this. So if you're an employee, you work for a company, you're going to get their benefits package for when you first join the company, and you can sign up for benefits, right? And you can sign up for healthcare. And so in this case, you have, I'm just using an old medical plan that I've had in the past back in 2020, and you have different options, and the employer picks the provider, right? Whether that's Cigna, United Healthcare, whatever it may be. And you can pick different healthcare plans. And one of the options is a health savings account, okay? And the big difference between this is it's a high deductible plan. So what it means is you don't have a higher monthly bill, but you are paying less per month, but you have a high deductible. So that means if you go and you break your arm, you have to pay more out of pocket until your deductible or your out of pocket has been met. Okay. And that's the big difference with a health savings plan. And so if you don't plan on going to the doctor a lot, it's absolutely amazing for most people, not everybody, right? But here's the other cool thing. If you work for an employer and your employer is pretty good, they will actually contribute a portion to your to the amount that you can invest or that you can contribute to an HSA. Right. So for example, my previous employer here, they would contribute for our family plan up to $1,500. And at the time we could only contribute $7,000 a year. So the employer would actually contribute some of it to our plan. Now, going forward, which I'll get to in a moment, in early retirement where we don't have an employer, we are going to have to, we're going to have to pay that out of our pocket. Right. So that's what I mean about a high deductible healthcare plan is if you have one, you are then eligible for an HSA. Now, another thing that I'm not going to get too far in the weeds with is the HSA. One of the benefits is you can take out the money. Let's say you contribute it 1 year and you don't use any, you don't go to the doctor once, and then the next year you have money in there and then you need to pay for a medical bill. You can take the money out for a qualified medical expense. Now, I would encourage you, if you're not sure what that is, go and Google qualified medical expenses for an HSA. That's, you'd be surprised actually what's under there, right? You can actually, there's a lot that falls under that, but it has to be a qualified medical expense. And then you can use that and you can pay for that expense with your health savings account. Now, I want to scroll down here. There's a few of the things that I think are important for you to understand if you're thinking about an HSA. So how much can you contribute? So if you're single and you're filing single, you can only contribute in a calendar year up to $3,650. Now, this amount changes year over year, right? It kind of tracks inflation, kind of not. But every year it goes up. So in 10 years, this number will look completely different. Next year, it'll go up maybe, $50 or $100, okay? And let's see here. And if you're married, you can contribute up to $7,300. Now, once again, you know how I mentioned that with the employer, my employer would contribute $1,500 of this amount. So, that was pretty cool. So you want to definitely check if your employer does that. You also have a catch-up amount if you're 55 or older. So if you invest into a Roth IRA, you're probably thinking, oh, this is giving me some Roth IRA vibes. But here's the thing, when it comes to the tax efficiency, which we'll get to next, it's actually much more tax efficient and beneficial than a Roth IRA. And you might be thinking, whoa, Jake, how is that possible? Well, hold your horses. I'll get to it in a second. All in all, that is a health savings account, right? If you have a high deductible plan, whether through your employer or if you're self-employed, and I'll get to that in the last part of this video, how I'm going to show how I'm doing it, because I won't be employed in early retirement, right? That's the whole point. I'll show you what that will look like. But yeah, you can do it either through your employer or if you're self-employed through the marketplace, and I'll show you that. But those are the two options that you can have, and it's very different than a flexible spending account. There's a lot more benefits. The only thing is you have to have a high deductible plan, okay, in order to contribute to an HSA. And the last thing that I'll go into is there's a lot of different providers, there's a lot of different websites that offer an HSA, whether, and this is, if you're employed, you're going to go with your employer's provider, okay? No questions asked, right? But if you're self-employed or if you're in early retirement, you have the choice to select your own provider, and not all providers or accounts are created equal, because some accounts won't let you contribute all of your money. They make you hold maybe a portion of that in cash. The reason why I'm going with Fidelity, one of the reasons, and this may change, it could always change, is you can invest 100% of your contributions into your investment account. Okay, so you don't have to hold a balance in cash, just letting it sit there, die to inflation. Okay, so that's, and if you're thinking about a different provider, whether it's Fidelity or whoever, just kind of do your homework around that. Look at the hidden fees, right? And so that's the important thing when it comes to that. All right, now let's dive into the taxes. We love taxes on this channel, okay? I think this is a great representation of all the different accounts that you have here in the United States. Let's start here at the very top. So the very top would be your traditional IRA or your traditional 401k. When you invest into a traditional 401k, you benefit from the taxes up front, but then on the back end, you actually end up paying taxes when you take it out, okay? So that's how the traditional works. The Roth IRA and the Roth 401k, you don't benefit from the tax up front, but on the back end, that's when you benefit. All of your gains are tax-free, okay? Roth IRA. And the HSA, this is the holy grail of accounts. Your contributions are tax deductible like a traditional IRA, and on the back end, your distributions are tax-free when you take them out for a qualified medical expense, okay? So this is why it's better, tax-wise than a Roth IRA. And I would argue it's better than a Roth IRA. Well, with a Roth IRA, you can still always take out your contributions. With an HSA, you just have so much more flexibility. Okay, so that's why I really like the HSA. And then down at the bottom, your taxable brokerage, your individual account, there's zero tax benefits there. And so that's how these accounts are structured and set up. And that's why so many people love the HSA, because of the tax friendliness that comes with it. All right, next here, I want to talk about how to invest with an HSA. Now, there's kind of two components here, right? So first, it's like, actually picking the investments themselves. And then it's, the other part is kind of the philosophy and the methodology around how an HSA fits into your broader portfolio, right? So you think about it, you have an HSA, you have a 401k, you have a Roth IRA, you have a taxable account. Where does an HSA fit in there? And, there's going to be very, different opinions out there, but you're watching this video probably because you probably value my opinion, I hope, right? Like, I want to share with you why I do it the way that I do. That sounds weird. Why I set it up the way that I do and the reasoning behind it. And that may resonate with you and it may not. While you're working, let's say you're 25 years old and you're planning to retire at 35, right? Well, what are you going to invest in? Like, what are you going to focus on? Well, in my opinion, you probably want to focus on growth, right? And you want to invest that money. You don't want to have that money just sit in cash, dying to inflation, right? And so when you go over to, this website, you can see how, the account is set up. So it looks actually like commission-free US stocks and ETFs. What's important is you have the option, like you can have it managed by Fidelity, or I'm sure there's another, like a robo-advisor, or you can manage it yourself, self-directed. I strongly believe if you're watching this video, if you're watching finance videos on YouTube, you should strive to be self-directed. I don't think you need to do a managed account. So if we go and we take a look at the different funds, this is just an example with Fidelity. Let's say, let's use the example of you're working, let's say you work for a manufacturing company or a grocery store or whatever, and they offer an HSA, and they have a provider that only offers specific index funds and mutual funds. Well, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, how the heck do I navigate through this? How do I pick the right index fund or mutual fund? So the way that most HSAs, I've worked at a handful of different companies, and most of them are set up in a similar way. Like this, where they have different options for fixed income, bonds, US equities, international. They have like specialty ones, and then they have target date funds, right? And it can be at first a little bit overwhelming and challenging, but I want to share with you that there's actually a really, really easy way to go about this. And I think if you're investing for FIRE, financial independence, and you want to retire early, in my opinion, the easiest way to go about this is to focus on index funds, not mutual funds, index funds that have a very low expense ratio. And what I like focusing on are index funds that focus on the total US stock market or the S&P 500. And so, for example, with this one, when my wife transfers over her account to Fidelity here, we will put 100% of our contributions, 100% into this right here. 100% will go into the Equity 500 Index Fund. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. First off, because we don't plan on using the money in this account for many, many years. If we plan on using the money in the account, we may hold a little bit in bonds or just in cash or whatever, right? But because this account is a strategic account for us and we treat it like a Roth IRA, we want to invest like we would with a Roth IRA. So in our HSA account, we actually don't invest for dividends or dividend growth. And now you might be thinking to yourself, well, Jake, you're a dividend investor. Why are you not investing for dividend? No, this account is not for passive income. This account is for total returns and for low fees and for simplicity and so that we have flexibility. Okay. And that's going to lead me into the next segment here where I talk about how we are actually going to use an HSA in early retirement. So now I want to talk about how we will be using an HSA in early retirement. So what you're looking at here on your screen, this is my TD Ameritrade account. This is where I hold my HSA. And you'll notice that I have two ETFs in here. I have SPYG and VTI. And the only reason why I have SPYG is I didn't at the time have enough money to buy a whole share of VTI. Otherwise, I would have bought a whole share of VTI. And for whatever reason, I maybe they offer it now where you can do fractional, but like at the time when I set this up, I couldn't purchase fractional shares of VTI. So that's the only reason why I have SPYG here with a small amount. But essentially, this account here is focused on the total US stock market in VTI. And my plan here is to treat this similarly to my Roth IRA, where I set it and forget it. My plan is to not have to sell. Well, my hope is that I don't have to sell a portion of this each year to pay for my medical expenses. If I do need to do that, I absolutely will. But that's not the plan. The plan is to let this sit in this account and grow tax-free for the next 25 plus years, as long as I can, right? It's always going to be there in the background. If we do run into trouble, we have medical issues, it's always going to be there and we will be able to access it. And once again, this account is not focused on dividends. I don't care about the dividends in this account. I care about the total portfolio value growing. And I just want to, I take the traditional FIRE movement approach, investing into VTI in this case. So if I take a moment here, if you've been a follower of my channel, you know that I have a couple of accounts, right? So I have my taxable account with M1 Finance, I have a Roth account with Vanguard, and I have an HSA account with TD Ameritrade. And if if they ever charge fees or change something, I will move it over to Fidelity, right? Like I'm not going to pay a single dime for an HSA account. But those are the accounts that I have. So in early retirement, I plan on living before the age of 59 and a half off of the dividend income from my dividend portfolio in M1. While in the background, in my Roth IRA and in my HSA, these accounts are growing passively in the background. I don't even look at them. I had to reset my password because I haven't logged into this account in years. That's how I view these accounts. When it comes to in early retirement, here's the cool thing. In early retirement, you're still going to need healthcare, right? You're definitely going to need healthcare. And so what my wife and I are going to do once we're no longer on her health insurance through her job, we're then going to go to the marketplace and get a healthcare plan there. And I want to walk you through what that looks like. And I want to talk you through practically, in real life terms, what that means, what that will look like, and hopefully give you some insight so that, this will maybe plant a seed for you as you start planning about this for your own, path to financial independence and retiring early. All right, so what you're looking at here on your screen right now is the marketplace for healthcare plans. Okay, and so here in the United States, this is how it works, right? We're not Canada, we're not Europe. We have our own kind of way of doing things, for better or for worse. Okay, so right now we're on my wife's healthcare plan. Once she quits her job, we're then going to go to the marketplace and then we're going to look for a healthcare plan. In order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to enter in all of our information, all of that good stuff. And then the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look for plans that are eligible for an HSA. Okay, there's not very many of them. It went from 126 down to 7, but there are definitely healthcare plans that are HSA eligible. Okay, so you'll see, I'm not going to go into detail on all of this stuff. I've shared another video on this. I will leave a link in the top right if you're interested in learning about this and the funness that we have here in the US. Everybody in Europe is probably just like, oh man, you Americans. But that is what it is. But essentially, here's the thing that I want to walk you through practically, right? In practice, how this works is we're going to sign up to, or we're going to purchase one of these healthcare plans, right? HSA plans, which will make us eligible for an HSA. See, if we didn't have an HSA eligible account, healthcare plan, we would not be eligible to have an HSA account. Okay, very, very important. They're two of kind of the same. One goes with the other. You have to have both of them. Okay, and here's the cool thing is by contributing to an HSA, let's say we contribute $7,300 or whatever each year, and let's say we have $100,000 in dividend income, or $90,000 or $80,000, whatever the amount ends up being. What it will do is because we contribute $7,000, it will lower our adjusted gross income down by $7,000. And what that does as well is it also makes us more eligible for subsidies through the marketplace here. So there's a lot of benefits that come with that, right? But that's the cool thing that I forgot to mention earlier in the tax segment is it actually lowers your adjusted gross income. So you're paying actually much less in taxes, right? So that's how that works. Every year we'll be contributing to this HSA, and whether we use it for medical bills or not, we will go around and we will invest the money each year. And As time goes on, once we have an emergency fund set aside in that account, because things happen all the time, right? You're going to need money, $100 there, $500 there for whatever emergency. We will have money sitting in cash there, but the remaining balance, we will be going in and flipping it and investing the remaining balance. So that in practice is how an HSA account in early retirement works. There's a lot of things to kind of factor in, and there's definitely a lot more things that you're going to want to research. Maybe your state has some different regulations around it, with the marketplace, whatever. But in a nutshell, that is how my wife and I plan to use an HSA account in early retirement. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that it sparked your interest to at least learn more about an HSA account and how you can use it in practice in early retirement. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch everybody in next week's video.
So please, whatever. I want to reach 1 million likes. Okay, thank you.
You know what? I think we're gonna be friends. Can everyone say hi to my friend? That's crazy. I just wanted to say thanks. I'm glad you came along, partner.